Good morning from Athens, Greece. It is Tuesday morning here in the center of Athens. I am at an area known as the Zapio. I've done many videos from here, actually. It's a good spot to do videos. And in this building right here, as I'm walking up, you'll see it. In this building, Greece actually signed, I believe they signed either the agreement to enter the EU or the agreement to enter the Eurozone currency. They signed it in this building, and this is where Greece signed away its sovereignty and prosperity many, many years ago. This was also the spot where the Olympic Village, the first Olympic Games, where the Olympic Village was actually situated as well. So I thought this would be a good place to do a video and to talk about the EU Council's agreement to place pretend sanctions on Russian oil. They finally did it. So we'll do an update there. We'll talk about two EU countries, or two companies in EU countries that have refused to pay for gas for rubles. They're not going to sign up to the gas for rubles payment policy put forth by the Russian government. And we'll also do an update on the oil tanker row between Greece and Iran. I've got another update for that. And we'll do maybe two clown worlds. I may do two clown worlds. One has to do with Ukraine. Actually, both have to deal with Ukraine. One has to deal with some comments made by the Interior Ministry. And another one has to deal with an image that's floating around the interwebs with the Telegraph titles, the UK publication, the Telegraph, and some of their titles that they've put out. Anyway, I'll talk about this in my clown world, two clown worlds, because I've actually got like 4 different clown world stories, but I'm going to have to spread those out a little bit. Anyway, let's discuss the main story, which is an update with regards to the EU finally getting their sanctions. And let me pull out my phone because I want to read you the tweets from Ursula von der Crazy, who was really happy, and Charles Michel, who was also super happy about finally getting these sanctions approved. So Ursula von der Crazy tweeted this: when the sanctions were announced, I welcome the hashtag EUCO agreement tonight on oil sanctions against Russia. This will effectively cut around 90% of oil imports from Russia to the EU by the end of the year. That's important. Remember that, by the end of the year. And Charles Michel, who heads up the EU Council meeting, tweeted, hashtag unity, agreement to ban exports of Russian oil to the EU. This immediately covers more than 2/3 of oil imports from Russia, cutting a huge source of financing for its war machine. Maximum pressure on Russia to end the war. Hashtag EUCO. So they're like super happy, right? They're super happy that they finally are able to send these tweets out and virtue signal to the whole world that they're sticking it to Putin and his war machine. I wonder how long Ursula von der Crazy had that tweet like sitting on her desktop. I bet you she's been waiting for like 2 weeks to send that triumphant tweet that they finally got the oil embargo that they've been pushing for. And this paves the way for a 6th round of sanctions, which is now going to go into effect. And there are actually some countries in the EU now that are actually pushing for a 7th round of sanctions as well, because the first 5 rounds of sanctions have done such a good job to weaken Russia and strengthen the EU. So you might as well go for 6, right? God. They just keep on digging, EU, keep on digging. But they have a plan. They have a plan, and that plan is 10, 15 years out to usher in this Green New Deal utopia. And that's what these sanctions are really about, because when you really dig deep into these sanctions and see how they've worded things and the compromises that they've made, you understand that these sanctions don't take effect until January 2023. I mean, they've put in carve-outs for allowing the sea transport of Russian oil to take effect in like 8 months, The Druzhba pipeline has been completely exempt, and they've said that they're going to allow Hungary to find an alternative solution. Take as much time as you want to find an alternative solution to the Druzhba pipeline, which there is no alternative solution, so there's no need for Hungary to even look, because there is not one. And they've created carve-outs for Croatia, petroleum products that Croatia needs. They've created like 6-month carve-outs there. They've created exceptions for Bulgaria as well. And they've created like 8 months exceptions for Bulgaria. I mean, when you go into the details, it's really not important to dig into it. I'll put a link to this article down below. But because Zero Hedge does a good job of summarizing everything that took place during this council meeting. But basically, they've created all kinds of exemptions and carve-outs to try and figure out a way to get the consensus to approve these sanctions and this embargo, which will approve the 6th round of sanctions. And you know, all of these oil embargoes, all of these measures are going to take place 8 months down the line. Are we even going to have a Ukraine war? Are we even going to have a Ukraine conflict in 8 months? So if this is really meant to weaken Putin's war machine, then, you know, why wait 8 months? You know, shouldn't you be implementing these sanctions like now? That would, if you really want to cut off Russia from these oil revenues, you would want to implement these sanctions like right away. You would want to place an embargo on Russian oil like tomorrow, but they're not doing it because this has nothing to do with Russia, this oil embargo. This has everything to do with forcing EU citizens to subscribe to the green agenda. You're forcing EU citizens to live in this great reset, this Green New Deal. And that's what this is really all about, because what these sanctions are going to do is that they're just going to drive the price of oil higher and higher. The title for the EU, for the Zero Hedge article says, Brent tops $122 after the EU agrees on a partial ban of Russian oil. So Brent is at 122. WTI was like at like 117. ESPO, which is the East Siberia Pacific in Russia that feeds China, that was at like 90, I think like 97 or something like that. And SOCO, oil from Russia, that was at like 107. So Russia needs to fill their budget, to fulfill their budget requirements. They need oil at $44 and change a barrel, say $45. If they're selling oil at $45, then their budget is all good. They've got everything balanced. So even at a discount of, say, $100 a barrel, even if you're discounting it to 70, you're doing all right. You're doing better than all right. That's for sure. And, you know, you got countries like India. Check this out. India is, their exports have jumped 25 times in the last 3 months with regards to Russian oil. India has received 34 million barrels of discounted Russian oil since February, more than 10 times the value of the total imports from the country year on year, according to Reuters. According to a report, more than 24 million barrels of Russian crude were supplied this month, up from 7.2 million barrels in April and from about 3 million barrels in March. The South Asian nation is set to receive about 28 million barrels in June. 28 million barrels from Russia in June. So Russia's going to continue to sell their oil to the EU for the next 8, 9, 10 months. Their oil exports are going up 25 times to India. China is filling up their petroleum reserves. I mean, they're topping up their petroleum reserves, so they're buying oil from Russia like crazy. Russia is selling oil to Sri Lanka. They're selling oil to all kinds of countries in Asia. They're crushing it. Russia is crushing it. And Ursula von der Crazy and Michelle want us to believe that these sanctions are about hurting Putin's war machine. Come on. Come on, man. As Joe Biden would say. Who they trying to kid? This is going to hurt EU citizens in a big way. 122 today is going to be 150 in 3 months, and 200 and I don't know, 180, 200 in 8-9 months. All this is going to do is it's going to make EU citizens much, much poorer. That's all it's going to do. And it's going to force EU citizens to live the you will own nothing and be happy, great reset lifestyle. That's what it's meant to do. It's meant to force us to subscribe to the WEF agenda, whether we like it or not. You know, you see these EU leaders, these kleptocrats, and our prime ministers and our presidents, for 2 weeks, focusing on how to put together a 6th round of sanctions against Russia and how to agree on an oil embargo. I wonder what would happen if our leaders and the EU kleptocrats spent, I don't know, maybe just a day or two trying to fix the problems of their own citizens, trying to fix the problems of the EU. I don't know, fix inflation, maybe fix the migration problem, maybe fix the homelessness problem. I mean, in Greece, 20 years ago, before we signed up to the EU in that building, 20 years ago, you would never see a homeless person in Athens. It was very rare to see someone homeless. Now I walk the streets and all I see are homeless people. Block after block are homeless people. How come our leaders, they don't sit down and pay and dedicate a day or two to fixing our problems instead of trying to hurt the Putin war machine, all for a country, Ukraine, or what's left of a country, that is not even in the EU? I'm an EU citizen. Why is Ursula von der Crazy and Michelle and EU prime ministers and presidents, why are they going to make me suffer for a country that's not even a member state? Can someone answer me that question? If Poland or the Baltic states wants to destroy their economy for Ukraine, be my guest. If they're, if they've got this Russophobia hysteria virus that's infected their political class and they want to destroy their entire economy to stick it to Putin, that's their problem. But why should Greece or Cyprus or any country that doesn't want to go along with this suffer for this special military operation for Ukraine, for a country that's not a part of the European Union? Doesn't even have an association agreement, from what I understand, with the EU. I don't think Ukraine has any kind of agreement with the European Union, does it? It may have something loose, like a loose agreement, customs agreement or something like that, but it's not even on the pathway to becoming an EU member state. But here we are, destroying our economies so that we could pretend to stick it to Putin. Anybody in the EU, actually anyone in the collective West, that is virtue signaling their support for Ukraine, the only thing you are doing is you are cheering on your own economic demise. That is all you're doing. You're cheering on your own incoming poverty. That's it. That's all you're doing. You are being completely fooled by the Western propaganda. Completely fooled. In 8 months, if any of these sanctions actually comes into existence and are actually enforced, in 8 months, you're going to see oil at 200. That's what you're going to see oil at, 200. Period. I don't think that you're going to actually cut off Russian oil from Europe. I think that's ridiculous. I talked about the Druzhba pipeline, that Hungary is not going to be able to find a replacement. They're not even going to search for a replacement because it doesn't exist. Banning seaborne supplies, which is in this package, is ridiculous. All that's going to happen, I've said it over and over again, all that's going to happen is that those Greek, Cypriot, and Malta oil tankers They're going to fill up with Russian gas, do a couple of turns around the Mediterranean or around the Aegean or whatever, around the Pacific, whatever, name your ocean, pick your sea. They're going to make a couple of turns. They're going to switch up flags, switch up administrators, switch up insurers, switch up country ownership, and then they're going to deliver that same Russian oil at 20 times the price. That's all that is going to happen. That's it. So this banning of seaborne Russian oil supplies is a fiction as well. This is all pretend. This is all make-believe. And it's all about Ursula von der Crazy and Charles Michel virtue signaling and making their triumphant statements how they've stuck it to Putin. Because they also have some sort of inferiority complex with regards to Putin. They understand that the Russians are much smarter than they could ever wish to be, and it must eat them up inside. I mean, it must eat up Ursula von der Leyen inside every day, knowing that she is outplayed day after day by Putin and his team. And she knows that she doesn't measure up on an intellectual level with Lavrov and Shoigu and Putin and Medvedev. And it must crush her. That's why she has so much hate for them. Anyway, Bloomberg is reporting on some other things that are in this sixth sanction package that will be agreed upon real soon. It has to be agreed upon by all 27 nations, but it'll be agreed upon. They're saying that we will be seeing the EU cutting 3 more Russian banks off the SWIFT payment systems, including Sberbank, Russia's largest lender. This is not a big deal because we all knew that Sberbank sooner or later was going to be cut off from SWIFT. So Russia is already out of SWIFT anyway, so this is meaningless. The bank that they can't cut off of SWIFT is Gazprom Bank, which is handling all the payments for gas. But Sberbank, okay, no worries. Banning the ability to provide consulting services to Russian companies and trade in a number of chemicals. Okay. They've also given up on the banning of Russians to buy real estate in Europe. They've dropped that as well, which I thought was interesting. A plan to ban Russians from purchasing real estate in the EU was dropped from the deal, according to a person familiar with the negotiations, according to Bloomberg. They're also sanctioning dozens of military personnel, including those deemed responsible for reported war crimes in that village outside of Kiev, as well as companies providing equipment, supplies, and services to the Russian armed forces. Okay, so they're going to sanction people connected to that fake false flag event in that village outside Kiev. Once again, pretend, make-believe, la-la land stuff. And this is the worst one. This shows how petty and how pathetic the EU kleptocrats are. And our leaders, with the exception of Hungary. And I'm going to explain why. Let me read you something else that is going into this sanction package. The sanctioning of Alina Kabeva, a former Olympic gymnast who is closely associated with Putin, and according to an EU document, Patriarch Kirill, who heads the Russian Orthodox Church and has been a vocal supporter of the Russian president and the war in Ukraine, they are also going to be sanctioned. Hungary, however, is opposed to sanctioning Patriarch Kirill, according to Bloomberg. So in this sixth round of sanctions, the EU kleptocrats are going to sanction a gymnast, Alina Kabeva, because supposedly she has close ties with Putin. Real good, EU. I hope you're proud of yourselves sanctioning a Russian gymnast. It must make you feel real good inside to do such things. And they're going to sanction the Russian Orthodox Church Patriarch Kirill. They're going to sanction the Patriarch of the Russian Orthodox Church. Let me say this right now. This move by Ursula von der Leyen and by the EU kleptocrats, this is going to spell their demise. This is the end of the European Union. You do not ever sanction a church leader. You never sanction the leader of a major religion. Don't do it. But they've done it. They're going to sanction the Russian Patriarch. This is going to end very, very badly for Ursula von der Leyen. It's going to end very, very badly for Charles Michel, and it's going to end very, very badly for the European Union. Believe me. I don't make many predictions, but this is a certainty. This is an absolute certainty. Thank you, Hungary. Good on Hungary for being the voice of reason, the voice of decency, the voice of dignity, the voice of logic and rationality by standing up for the Orthodox people and for the Orthodox religion and just using common sense. Because Hungary says, number one, what does sanctioning a gymnast and a Russian patriarch accomplish? Nothing. It accomplishes zero. And Hungary understands that you just don't do these types of things. It's insulting, it's degrading, it's wrong, it's evil to sanction a church leader, to sanction the leader of the Russian Orthodox Church. And I have to say this, shame on the leaders of Greece, shame on the leaders of Cyprus, shame on the leaders of Bulgaria, and shame on the leaders of Romania. 4 Orthodox countries that are in the European Union that are actually going to agree to sanction Patriarch Kirill. Shame on those 4 countries. Shame on those 4 leaders. I'm shocked and I'm disgusted at Greece and Cyprus for choosing the Klaus Schwab globalist green agenda, green religion, over the Orthodox faith. That is exactly what they have done. And they've chosen the high priestess of the globalist faith and the green ideology, Ursula von der Leyen, over your very own Orthodox religion. And Greece and Cyprus, I'm sorry to say it, but you're going to pay a very, very heavy price, as will Romania and Bulgaria, being Orthodox countries and sanctioning an Orthodox patriarch. Anyway, let's move on. We'll leave it there, and let's move on to an update with regards to the Iran-Greek oil tanker row. And the Greek foreign minister, Dendias, had a conversation, a phone call with his counterpart, Anthony Blinken. And they talked about this oil tanker dispute with Iran. I said yesterday that Iran has now warned the Greek government that more tankers may be seized. Not just the 2 oil tankers, but they may seize more oil tankers, Greek oil tankers, if they wish. And the Greek government actually this morning had to issue a warning to the Greek shippers to avoid the the Persian Gulf because Iran might seize their ships. So Greece is actually now issuing warnings to the shippers to avoid getting close to Iran, having their ships sail close to Iran, because Iran means business, and Iran is not afraid. And Greece, well, Greece has shown that they are weak, that they've lost this. They've shown their weakness by issuing this warning. Plain and simple. They're scared. They're scared because they see that Iran is not playing around. You take one of our oil tankers, we're going to take 2. You want to act like pirates? We're going to show you how pirates act. And unlike the Greeks, who didn't even get to keep the spoils of their piracy, they just gave it to the Americans. They just gave the oil to the Americans. The Iranians are going to keep what they seize from the Greek tankers, or at least they should. If they don't get their oil back from the Greeks, they should keep what they seized from the Greeks. You know, fair is fair. And so the Greeks have issued a warning. They've said, avoid the Persian Gulf. And Anthony Blinken, he came out with a statement, and he basically said that, and let me find it. Anthony Blinken came out and condemned, and I quote, the unjustified seizure of 2 Greek flag vessels by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard. He also said that Iran's continued harassment of vessels and interference with navigational rights and freedoms are a threat to maritime security and the global economy. So Blinken has a phone call with Dendias, the Greek foreign minister, and he comes out with these stupid statements, pats Dendias on the head, and says, "Thank you for the oil, for the free oil. Now run along, little boy." I can't believe that Dendias is getting played by Blinken. I can't believe that the Greek government is getting played by the Bidenopoulos administration. It is just so sad. It is so sad to watch. My God, Greece, you're making a fool of yourself. You are making a fool of yourself. Oh, boy. So those are the statements from Dendias. I can't believe that that these Greek ships were seized. I condemn it. It's breaking international law. This was unjustified, really. And what do you call the seizing of an Iranian ship that started all of this? Was that breaking international law? Was that not unjustified? These guys, man, pure. I mean, they need a mirror. Someone needs to hold up a mirror to Blinken and Dendias and all of these guys 24 hours a day, just so they can expose their lack of awareness and hypocrisy. So let's move on then to two companies in countries that are going to get cut off from the gas for rubles because they're refusing to pay. Denmark, the energy company, the gas company in Denmark, has come out with a statement saying that they refuse to pay for gas for rubles. So I believe either yesterday or today, the Russian government, Gazprom, said, "Okay, don't pay, no gas." So they've been cut off, or they're about to be cut off. And we have the energy gas company in the Netherlands that is refusing to pay for gas for rubles. Gasterra, the Dutch company, has notified Gazprom that it does not intend to make payments for gas supplies in rubles, arguing that it would breach Western sanctions. So what has Gazprom said? And this is going to happen. They're going to get cut off on May 31st. Today. They're going to get cut off today. So this Dutch company said, no, we are not going to pay for rubles. We are not going to pay for gas in rubles. And so what is Gazprom going to do? They're just going to cut them off because the Russians mean business. That's why. Business. You don't want to pay? Cut off. They're not going to come out with statements. They're not going to whine about it. They're not going to say this is energy blackmail or this is disgusting or I can't believe what you're doing. No, the Russians don't operate like that. They're just going to cut them off and next customer, next business. That's all they're going to do. You don't pay? No gas. Next. We've got other stuff to do. We've got other customers to get. We've got other countries that are interested in our gas, i.e. China, and Power of Siberia. Anyone? Power of Siberia 1, 2, and 3. And they're just going to move on. That's all that is happening. And the Netherlands and Denmark, well, they're going to have to figure out what they're going to do with regards to gas. And of course, the rising price in gas because of these idiotic policies from these EU member states, well, the price increase in energy is going to be passed along to the consumer, and you're going to be told to pay 10, 20, 50 times more on your energy bills because you have to stick it to Putin. And that is what they're going to tell you. Those are the lies that they're going to feed you. So let's move on now to two clown worlds. Let's do two. And the first clown world, it has to deal with an interesting proposal from the Interior Minister of Ukraine. And this Interior Minister, I believe that his name is, one second, it's not Avakov, though other people were saying it was the former Interior Minister Avakov that came up with this idea. It's Andrusev, and he is an advisor to the Interior Ministry. So this guy, Andrusev, has come up with a plan to bring money to Ukraine. I'm trying to think, which way do I want to walk? Do I want to walk down that way? Or do I want to walk up that way? Let's walk up. Let's walk up. And Andrusev has said, I've got a plan to bring foreign reserves into Ukraine, to bring foreign currency into Ukraine. And his plan is to allow Ukrainian citizens, Ukrainian men from the age of 18 to 60 to leave Ukraine and to go to Europe if they put a deposit of something like 3,000 to 5,000 euros into a Ukraine account, into a Ukraine government account, kind of like a bail. So his plan is saying, you can leave the country and you can go work in Europe if you deposit 5,000 euros into a Ukrainian state bank account, and if you don't come back in, say, 6 months to fight in the war, then we get to keep that money. A bail system. This is how prisons work, right? This is how a bail works. And this guy is arguing. He's actually saying that this is going to bring money into the Ukraine government, because most of these men that are going to leave, that have $5,000 to leave, are not going to come back. And not only that, he is arguing that they're going to stay in Europe or the US or Canada, wherever. They're going to stay abroad and they're going to send money back home. So this is going to make the Ukraine economy even stronger. This is crazy stuff. I'm not making this up. I am not making this up. Viktor Andrusev, I suggest introducing an insurance program, an insurance payment. For example, $3,000 to $5,000 and free passage for those who pay. This is what he wrote on social media. This guy's an advisor to the Interior Ministry. Ukraine needed to mobilize several 100,000 soldiers to fight Russia. However, the current near total ban on leaving the country for those subject to mobilization was a bad policy, he said. Basically, all this guy is saying is, we're going to mobilize our poorest and send them to die at the hands of the Russian military in the Donbass. And the upper middle class and the wealthy, well, they get to pay their way out of the country. That is it. And that is a sad clown world. I mean, what he is proposing is actually very, very sinister and very evil. But, wars, when you have wars, it is always the poor that suffer, isn't it? It is always the poor that suffer. And in this case, this Ukraine official is pretty much saying, if you have money, if you're upper middle class wealthy and you want out, deposit $5,000 and leave the country. And if you don't come back, we get to keep that $5,000. Everyone else that doesn't have the money, they're just going to send them to the front lines in the Donbass to perish. These people are so evil. They are so freaking evil. Let's do a final clown world, a second clown world, and it has to do with an article, a bunch of articles from the Telegraph. And this image has been going around the internet, Telegram, and I always get confused. Telegram's been going around Telegram and Twitter. And I saw that Andrei Martyanov, he published this image. Jacob Dreisen published this image. I saw it on a bunch of other social media channels. Anyway, it's an image of various Telegraph, the UK publication, the Telegraph, various headlines from their publication. And I'm going to have to open this up. I'm going to put an image right now for everyone to see. And the first title says, Vladimir Putin may have just made the era that ends his bloody rule. This is on February 24th. This is the title. This is all like from the same author as well. Yeah, it's from the same author, Con Coughlin. The second title, published on April 3rd, says, The West is beating Russia at its own game. The third title says, Putin's war has been a fiasco. It's about to get worse. This was on April 21st. The next title says, humiliated Russia forces an epic-defining defeat. This was published on May 5th. On May 12th, total victory over Putin cannot be bought cheap. That's May 12th. And on May 26th, the final title says, from Cause Coughlin, Putin could be about to pull off a shocking triumph. Putin's going to pull off a shocking triumph. That is the headline on May 26th from Kos. What's this guy's name? Kos Coughlin at The Telegraph. And he is a defense editor. Those are your military experts, everybody. Everyone that can read Greek, there you go. If you can read Greek, there you have it. I don't know, did I give you guys a good look? Right here? Let me just give everyone a good look. Right there. All right. When we were a great civilization, a great nation, now our leaders, they just bring us disgrace. Anyway, I will leave it there. Everybody, check out Alexander's channel. He's doing great analysis with regards to what's happening in the EU and with these sanctions. Look for us on our main channel, the Duran. We've got live streams going on all this week. Really good live streams with good guests. And the Duran.locals.com. Take care, everybody.